Hey guys, so let's come back together. You can't see me because I am going to share my screen in just a minute to actually walk you through how we are going to do the task today. So we've been talking about, or you have been talking with your teacher about the prowl technique. So TNBA Tigers, when we write, we prowl just like tigers. So if you remember that mnemonic device, the P stands for pull apart the prompt, R, read, O, organize. And that's exactly what we're going to look at today and try to work through. Now, we've already done some organizer work. We have probably almost, maybe since September or October, but you guys remember it by what you see on your screen. The organizer that your teachers have been placing inside of your class kick. So we are going to use that organizer. Okay, we're going to use that organizer, but we're going to add a little bit of pixie dust. Okay, and we're going to make it even better. So, but why do we need to do that? Well, I always say practice how you play. For example, if I'm playing basketball, I'm not going to be practicing soccer because it's not going to give me my best chance at being the best I can at basketball. So on TCAP, in 3rd through 5th grade, you are giving a test booklet and scratch paper, or in other words, just a plain white sheet of paper. And you're going to have to use that plain white sheet of paper to organize your thoughts before you write your writing answer or written response inside the test booklet. So we are going to practice how we play. Now, even when you get in older grades, and even if they decide to put the test on the computer, you're still going to be given scratch paper or a white sheet of paper to organize your thoughts. So this method or this strategy I'm teaching you is not going to be lost as you get older. You're always going to be giving scratch paper or a white sheet of paper to organize your thoughts on. So I'm going to give you, and we're going to practice a way to do this organizer, but on your paper or on a piece of scratch paper. So we are going to take that organizer, add a little bit of an opinion writing dust to make the perfect opinion writing organizer. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Miss Turner, that is not perfect. Those squares and those rectangles are not even. I know. However, I just need a chance to write down my thoughts. I don't really care what it looks like as long as I can read it and as long as it's organized. Because when you do take TCAP, the papers that you write on to organize your thoughts, or the papers that you use to do your work out your math problems, those aren't scored, but they are turned in. So they will see them even though they do not score them. So let's go ahead and start with this organizer. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to turn my web camera on, and you're going to see my web camera. Okay, I'll make it a little bigger here. Okie dokie. Now, if you notice, I do have some line paper. Sometimes that's all you have, and that's okay. But I do want you to know that, and you can see my little document camera right here. I do want you to know that on TCAP, you're only going to be given paper that's not lined. So I'm going to practice today on paper that's not lined. However, if you only have lined paper, that is okay. It's okay. Okay? Just understand that your blind paper will not be available to you during TCAP. Now, one thing that I do want you to have is a pencil. I'm not going to use a pencil today because it's hard to see with the pencil when I write. So I want to use a pen, but understand that a pencil is what you're going to have to use on TCAP. And not an electronic pencil, not any other type of pencil, but your number 2 pencil. So it could be a Ticonderoga pencil, it could be any other pencil, but it's typically going to be a yellow pencil. Okay, so that's the type of pencil that you're going to use, so I want you to practice with that. And like I said, the only reason why I'm practicing with this pen is because it's easier to see. So here we go. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the box that's just like the organizer that you have seen all throughout the year. So I'm going to keep my paper just like I would, like long style, right? And I'm going to draw a rectangle box inside of that white paper. Notice that there is plenty of room inside. The box is not small, but the box is big enough for you to see exactly what you are going to do, okay, and what you're going to write. Now, after we do our big box, looks like a big building, right? We're going to go ahead and, this is where our math comes into play. We're going to divide that box into 3 separate rectangles. Ready? So I'm going to, does it have to be perfect? Absolutely not. So I'm going to eyeball it, as they say, and I'm going to draw 2 lines to make 3 separate triangles. Or not triangles, I'm sorry, rectangles. Don't tell math I said triangles. I do know my shapes, y'all. Now, the last thing that you're going to do in order to finish the actual outline of your organizer is go to the middle box, and you are going to divide this rectangle into thirds, so into 3 different boxes. So I'm going to draw, kind of eyeball it again. Does it have to be perfect? Absolutely not. I'm going to draw a line and another line here. Now notice how this box is a little smaller than this box and this box. Is that okay? Absolutely. That is just fine. Because, like I said, it's not going to be graded. I just want enough room to be able to write my quick thoughts in it in order to guide me as I begin to write. Now keep in mind, this is not your writing. This is before you're writing, a step before. It takes time, absolutely. But I'm telling you, your writing will go a lot faster if you organize before you write. And if you're in my class, you have to organize before you write because it is a grade. But when you organize before you write, you're not sitting there when you do start writing thinking to yourself, what am I going to write? What am I going to write? Because the organizer is going to help you. Okay, now I am not going to look off my screen that this is on Canva. I'm just going to walk you through this. So once you have your box done, your triangles, your lovely boxes done, let's go ahead and count them just to see how many boxes we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you do not have 5 boxes, make sure your page or your organizer, the shape of it is exactly like mine, or very similar to mine, as long as you have 1 big box in the beginning or at the top, 3 in the middle, and 1 on the bottom. Let's go ahead and number these, okay? And I'm going to use the bottom right-hand corner to put a number 1 in the first box, a number 2 in the second box, number 3 in the fourth box, or the next box, I'm sorry, number 4 in the next box, and 5 in the next box. Now, these numbers that you just put in your boxes are your sentences. So everything in this box will come first. Everything in this box will come second, third, fourth, and fifth in your paragraph. Okay? So, people might ask me, well, what about box 1? What if I need to write 2 sentences to really get my point across? You can do that. Just understand that this goes first in your paragraph, then this is next in your paragraph, next in your paragraph, next, and then finally. Okay? So, when you move into 4th and 5th grade and on up, you can still use the same organizer, but instead of 1 paragraph, you're writing different paragraphs. So this will be your first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph, and 5th paragraph. We don't have to do that in 2nd grade or in 3rd grade. So we are going to stick with the 1 paragraph and what place each box of information needs to go in that paragraph. Okay? And it'll make sense in just in my next video when I highlight what I am going to go over. So hang on tight. So let me recap what I've done. I've drew a big rectangle. I've marked it into thirds, and then I marked the middle section into thirds. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Second, I placed my numbers in the bottom right-hand corner of my boxes. That symbol signifies or tells me that that's the place that this information is going to go in my paragraph. Now, we had, in our pull apart the prompt, I asked you to circle the type of writing because there is a different type of organizer for a different type of writing. But don't worry, there's only 3 types, and 3 types that you'll have to remember. So no need to stop breathing. You can pick yourself off the floor. That's my attempt at a joke, so you can insert laughter here. I hope you laughed. Thank you if you did. Okay, so after I do this step, I am going to go ahead and make an O in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to put a little box around it. That lets me know that this is an opinion organizer. Okay, this lets me know this is an opinion organizer only. And that's the first part of our organizer. So after you finish this, we can move on into adding the things that we need to add in order to remember what our sentence starters are. Tune into the next video for part 2, those sentence starters that we're going to put in each of those boxes.